Planet Dolan.
From exploiting maritime tragedy to teaching you all you need to know about Nazism, we look at 8 most inappropriate kids games.
Hi there, my name is Doopy and I'm here to tell you some really interesting things that you might not have heard before.
Number 8. Who doesn't love a game of Twister? From children to awkward teens who want to get close to that girl they have a crush on. It seems odd now, but Twister is probably one of the most controversial children's games since being sold. Being the first game to use people as actual playing pieces, stores in 1965 refused to put the game on the shelves, and it almost stopped the game from existing altogether until the game appeared on The Tonight Show. Critics called the game sex in a box because in 1965, getting the inside of your thigh rubbing against someone else's ankle is akin to sex, right? Anyway, lots of people had a problem with this being sold to children, but it ended up being too popular. Which, yeah, sex in a box would be.
Number 7.
Want a nice way for your kids to dislocate their shoulder? Then give them a nice old game of Red Rover. Yes, this classic children's game has been known to cause serious injury way too often. For those of you who've never played it, imagine all of your friends are linking arms in a chain, and you have to run at the speed of sound to break through the chain. Obviously, kids and their weak bones aren't exactly made for this game, so it's not a surprise that many parents had a problem with it. Probably because little Billy's hospital bills were costing a fortune.
Number 6.
You know what's 100% safe? Give children shiny, sharp, oversized darts and tell them to throw them on the lawn. That's boring. Why would you throw them at the lawn when you can throw them at that asshole Johnny from next door? Or at your little sister? Or why not just throw them straight up into the air and try to dodge them as they hurl back down to earth? Yeah, giving children giant pointy metal darts isn't the smartest idea, and eventually a kid was killed after years of the game causing injuries. When a kid's game is putting a child in the hospital every weekend, it's no surprise it's eventually going to kill one of them.
Number 5.
Sure, it's probably not going to surprise anybody that the game called Choke isn't suited for kids, but what do you know? Much like Red Rover, this isn't a game that sits on the store shelves, but is played by children as young as 6 and involves using the patented chokehold on someone until they almost faint. How is this a game? Well, if you tap out, you're a damn pussy and all the other kids will laugh at you. However, if you've ever heard of autoerotic asphyxiation, you'd know that choking someone can be pretty deadly, and that's exactly what's been happening. At least 82 kids have died since '95, mostly around the age of 13.
Number 4.
You know what makes for a fun night in for the whole family? Trying to escape the most iconic sinking ship in history. Yes, the sinking of the Titanic was being exploited way before Leo announced himself as the king of the world. This game hails from the glorious 1970s where if it existed, you can make a board game out of it. The goal of the game is to make it off the ship, but that's not all. After that, you need to travel to several islands for food to survive until you're rescued. Because everyone knows that the icy Atlantic is filled with tropical islands, duh. To put this in perspective, it's like if in 20 years someone brings out Escape the Twin Towers. Yeesh.
Number 3.
This pearl from World War II Germany wanted to make kids have fun with the idea of bombing people in London. Made in 1940, Bombs Over England had players pretending to be the Luftwaffe and allowed them to bomb the fuck out of cities like Liverpool and Newcastle. I'm sure it worked a lot like the Nazi version of Risk, which probably would have been a lot of fun to play if it wasn't based on the actual war going on. But hey, you can't beat the Nazis when it comes to propaganda, even in board games.
Number 2.
Not to be outdone by the Nazis just yet, the Allies also have their own dark corner of problematic historical board games. Enter Four Little Blank Boys, a game where you shoot black people. Yeah. This target shooting game from 1950 is just that. Shoot the 4 or sometimes 5 black kids and you win the game, asshole. Of course, this was perfectly acceptable for people 60 years ago to do. White people, that is.
Number 1.
The Nazis were great at indoctrinating children, and well, it's a board game about the Holocaust. What else do you need to know? Okay, well, Juden raus, or translated Jews out, involved players moving little plastic Jews out of the city to exile points. First player to get 6 Jews out wins the Holocaust. Pretty simple, right? Considering what actually happened, this is a pretty tame version. At least the exile points weren't gas chambers. That would make the kids feel sad for the Jews, and we can't have that now. On a lighter note, what's the funniest thing you've ever seen a little kid do? Let us know in the Reddit page link below, and you might be featured in a future countdown. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.
Pregnancy kind of freaks kids out. While hanging out with his very pregnant-looking aunt, a 4-year-old boy asked his aunt if there was a baby in her belly. When she said yes, he didn't react. He just casually walked toward the kitchen saying, "We need to get it out. I'll go get the knife."